How's everybody doing? Can you guys hear me?
Hey.
Very good.
Hopefully you all have a beverage. I want to make sure I'm not drinking for myself.
Hey.
Cheers.
I am drinking the Bell's Two Hearted, in case anybody wants to know.
Nice.
Give the little guy a bottle. That way you never drink alone.
I already got some in his bottle.
There you go. You're not drinking alone now, are you?
Now I'm not drinking alone, that's for sure. You guys get ready? Want to get started? See how I make some pizza?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I have two chefs with me. I have sous chef number one.
You do speaker.
To my right, I have little Nino. Nino, say hi.
Are we on mute?
No.
And I have a second sous chef, the lovely Stella. Stella, please come out here.
You if you want.
Yeah.
Say hi to everyone.
Hello.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining our Zoom demo on how to make pizza. And let me just give you a story on how pizza actually came to fruition in our lives over the past year.
Oh God, look at Nino.
Bella loves eating pizza. She loves eating pizza so much that we go out 2 times a week for pizza, which for me is not a bad thing because I really like pizza too. And Nino loves pizza. Aaron loves pizza. But the problem with going out for pizza is, you know, the 3 old fashions I would have, the 3 Negronis that Aaron would have. So we wound up spending like what, $500 to $600 a month just so you can eat pizza. So I figured, why not try to make pizza at home and have some fun with the kids and enjoy it that way. So that's how it kind of all came to fruition. So for the past year, I've been working really hard on trying to master my pizza techniques. So just a little story on that. Today, what I want to try to show you guys is actually how I make the dough. There is a process in making dough. There's many techniques out there if you research it. And I'm going to use a technique that I find out that works best for me. What works best for you could be different. I always encourage experimenting and keep on making more and more and more. The only way to get better at anything, obviously, is really just to get both feet in it and just keep on making it all the time. So today I'm going to show you how to make the pizza dough. But the thing is with pizza dough, it takes time to ferment. It takes time to proof. So what I did was I actually made a pizza dough last night so that way I can show you how I make the dough, but I also have a pizza that's ready to be cooked. So that way you can see both sides of it. And we're going to do a demo on how I make the sauce, the cheeses that we use, and all that good stuff. And I think this is probably maybe going to take us, what, maybe about 45 minutes and we'll be done? Maybe, we'll see. Okay, we're going to jump to it. One of the first things I'm going to use is my mixing bowl for my KitchenAid mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer with a dough hook, that's fine. You can knead it by hand. It is a little bit more work. If you're unsure to knead, I would encourage looking up some YouTube videos on how to knead dough. It's not hard at all, but I prefer the stand mixer. It just makes it so much easier. So I do have a stand mixer that I'm using. As far as the ingredients for pizza dough, it's really simple. You have flour, water, salt. I use olive oil, and the most important ingredient, active dry yeast. There's different ratios that you can use as well, but I'm going to throw a percentage out there. Depending on the pizza that you make, if you have a pizza that say is going to be cooking for a long time, example, the pizza that we're making right now, you might want to use more water. Whereas, say if you were to be making, say, something similar to what you get at your pizza shop or something like really thin and crispy, you would actually use less water. For what I'm making today, as far as the recipe goes, I'm using 550 grams of flour, and you can use all-purpose, you can use bread flour, you can use TIFO flour. There's no wrong flour to use. To that 550 grams, I'm using 400 grams or 400 milliliters of water, which makes my hydration level at 73.5% for anyone who wants to get technical. Okay, so they're going to be the 2 big ones. We're going to be making enough dough here that would be enough for a true sheet pan pizza. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to need to plume the yeast. So in my bowl, I'm going to add my water. I already have it all measured out, and I'm just going to microwave it for like 20 seconds. So I want it a little bit warm. You don't want your water hot because if it's too hot, you're going to kill the yeast. Okay, so I'm just warming it up just a little bit. And just like that, it is warm. Okay, to that 400 milliliters, 4 grams of water, I am going to throw in 2 teaspoons of sugar. Can you put the sugar in there, Stella? And to that 2 teaspoons of sugar, I'm going to add a half teaspoon of active dry yeast. Okay. I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to do like 3/4, so I went a little bit heavy with the flour for a true sheet pan pizza. So right now I have warm water. I have the 2 teaspoons of sugar. I have roughly about 3/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. What I want to do is now just let this sit for 10 minutes. I have the sugar in there, the water. It's going to help dissolve the membrane of the yeast and get it activated. And you want to let it maybe sit for 10 minutes because you want to make sure your yeast is active. You don't want to go through the process of making a pizza and you don't have active yeast because then it's not going to rise, it's not going to improve. One of the ways that you're going to know that your yeast is ready is after about 10 minutes, if you look into the bowl, you might start seeing a little bubbles. You'll start seeing it bubble up a little bit. You'll see some, Aaron? Yeah. You almost knocked that on the floor. Sorry, I had Nino duty because my nanny was not paying attention. Good job, Aaron. The half sheet pan almost went on the floor. So I'm just going to let this sit for 10 minutes, okay? Now, in the meantime, while this sits for 10 minutes, what we're going to do is make the sauce because we have some downtime. The one thing with pizza is there are different steps, and there is downtime when it comes to making the dough. So right now, we're just going to let that yeast do its thing, make sure it's active. And while that's happening, I figure why not make the pizza sauce? So here's what I use for the sauce. If you want to use jar sauce, by all means, go ahead. I won't look down on you. At least I won't look down on you while I'm looking at you. But I like to use the good old Cento San Marzano. I have basil. I have minced garlic, right? Salt and pepper, right? And some extra virgin olive oil, right? And one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, an immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a food processor. It'll just do the same thing. The one thing I want to mention, though, when you're making your own tomato sauce and you're using whole peeled tomatoes, they contain moisture. And one thing that pizza does not like is moisture. So you just want to be careful if you're using your immersion blender or if you're using your food processor. Make sure you don't over blend. And if you're using your food processor, I would recommend pulsing because the more you use the food processor or the blender, it becomes watery and no one wants a soggy pizza. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open this up, but then I'm going to have Stella add what we need to it. How's that sound, Stella? Good? Okay. Okay. So to this, Stella, could you add the garlic? I have 2 garlic cloves minced. You can get your hand in there, that's fine. You wash your hand, right? Okay. Throw in maybe like say 3 basil leaves. Or 1 more. Just gonna give it maybe roughly about a tablespoon of olive oil. And I'm gonna hit it up with a little bit of salt. Hold on 1 second, Stella. I usually do just roughly about a tablespoon of salt. I'm using kosher salt. You can use sea salt. If you're using any other kind of salt, you know, the kind that chefs don't use, just cut it in half. And I just do a little pinch of black pepper, right? Okay. From here, I'm going to hit it with the immersion blender.
You don't want it to be spicy.
You don't want it to be spicy. That's right. Kids don't like spice, right? For whatever reason. We're gonna work on that though.
You know,
Okay.
like spicy. I don't like spicy.
You hate spicy. I don't even know how you're my daughter.
I like sour.
You like sour? Okay, so we're gonna hit with the blender. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice that I'm not keeping the button held the whole time. I'm only holding it in as I'm going down.
This is how you get all the chunks out.
And that is how you make the sauce. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, from here, do you cook it? And the answer is no. Don't cook your sauce. You're not making a Sunday gravy. You're making a pizza. And these whole peeled tomatoes, they're already cooked. They're already steam cooked, and they're ready to go. So the only thing you're doing is really just seasoning it with the flavorings that you like. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but don't cook it. Once you cook it, you're really breaking in a different chemical process. You're boiling off the water, but you're also making the sauce acidic. And have we ever had those sauces that, you eat 2 slices of pizza and they feel like you're going to put a hole in your stomach? You don't want that on your pizza. This is all set to go, and when you're going to be putting this sauce on your pizza while it's in the oven for those 15 to 20 minutes, the sauce is going to cook up a little bit nice. It's going to cook up nice anyway. Some of that moisture is going to evaporate out. So just like that, we actually just made our sauce. This is set to go, and this is pretty much the recipe I use on any pizza I make. And just like that, you have a whole can of it now. Okay? So sauce is ready to go. So now we're going to go double check my yeast here. Okay? And I'm seeing it's starting to activate a little bit. I can start seeing some bubbles coming up. It's not much, but now that I know that I see bubbles coming up, I'm going to start the next process. Okay? So again, in here I have 400 milliliters of water, lukewarm, just a little bit over a half teaspoon of active dry yeast, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. To this, I'm going to add my flour. Stella, can you put it in nice and easy? I'll tilt it for you. Okay, and what I just added here was 550 grams. Now, if you do not have a scale, I do everything by a scale. 550 grams was exactly 3.5 cups. So if you did 3.5 cups, not packed, just scoop it up, use your back end of your butter knife to level it off. If you do 3.5 cups, you're going to get your 550 grams. Okay, so I have that in here. I'm going to throw in a little bit of olive oil. Okay, we added some olive oil just to give it a little bit of fat, because there isn't any fat in this right now. We want to add just a little bit of fatness to it. So the olive oil is going to do that. There's actually one more ingredient we need to add in here, and that's the salt. But we're not going to do that yet. And one of the reasons that we're not going to do that is salt kind of inhibits the growth of yeast. So we're actually going to add that in on the back end. So this mixture is out ready to go. So I'm going to put this on our stand mixer. No hook attached, and I'm just going to put it on the very first one. Got it? Stop. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Put it on the lowest setting. If you're going to go on a high setting, you're just going to get flour everywhere, and then you're just going to get yelled at by whoever's in the kitchen with you. So start off at a low setting. Start off at 1. From here, I get a spatula. We all know how to use this, and just start pushing down the sides. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to let this go for 3 minutes. And what we're looking to do is have that moisture from that water get incorporated into the dough. Okay. So what we're going to do now is that's going to run for roughly another 2 more minutes. And after that 2 minutes, we're actually going to cover it with a tea towel, and we're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. The reason that we're looking to have a rest time of 30 minutes, what we want to make sure is that yeast has received the moisture from the water, and we want the mixture to set, okay? There's a process, and there's a term used, I believe it's called autolyse, this little 30-minute rest period. Really just helps the flour get hydrated. It's going to make a better dough. Okay, so we're going to let that go for 1 more minute, and then we actually have a 30-minute rest. But during that 30-minute rest, we're actually going to make the pizza from the dough I made last night. So I'm going to show you what the dough is going to look like when your pizza's ready to go. Okay? So this has been going for roughly about 3 minutes, right?
You want to get a damp towel.
I do like it a little bit damp, and the reason that we cover it up is if you don't cover it up, yeast is going to dry out. You'll get a film on top of your yeast, on top of your dough, and you really don't want that. Okay? So it's been roughly about 3 minutes, so now I'm just going to cover up this tea towel. And then we got what? We got 30 minutes, right? So I'm going to put my timer at 30. Okay, it's got a 30-minute rest, and after that 30-minute rest, we're going to be adding the salt. Once we add the salt, then we're going to start mixing it up again with the dough hook. I increase the speed, and I usually break it up between roughly about 7 to 8 minutes at speed number 2 on the mixer. After that 7 to 8 minutes, I'll pick it up to speed number 3 and run it for roughly another 7 to 8 minutes. Roughly about 15-minute total time. Dough is heavy, so when you do that, it's going to feel like your KitchenAid mixer, whatever mixer you have, is going to fall off the counter. Don't be nervous if it starts shaking. It's going to happen. Okay? So while that's waiting for its 30-minute rest, I'm going to show you the pizza. Here's the dough. I made this last night. I have it covered up with cellophane, which I sprayed with with spray oil. The reason I do that, I don't want the cellophane, saran wrap, whatever you want to call it, to stick to the dough. Okay? Now this dough I took out of the refrigerator because I made the dough, packaged it up in this container, which you're going to need a container to package your dough. I packaged it up and I took it out of the refrigerator, maybe like around 4 o'clock? It was like right around 4 o'clock.
We started poking our fingers.
We did, but we didn't do that right away. One thing that we did was we took it out of the refrigerator and we actually let it sit for 15 minutes, right? Because you don't want to work it with a cold dough. It's not going to be elastic. The gluten's going to fight you every step of the way. So I just let it sit on here for 15 minutes out of the fridge. I take my half sheet pan. I use regular olive oil and just use your hand, spread it around the pan. After 15 minutes, I scoop this out and I put it on the pan and I recovered it with the cellophane, okay? And just let it sit for 20 minutes and let's let it get to some ambient temperature, room temperature if possible. I'm gonna say roughly about 20, 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, take the cellophane back off. And at this time, the dough has warmed up a little bit. It shouldn't give you much restriction as far as stretching out and pulling it. And what I do is I use my fingers. Don't use your hands. One of the big mistakes that we see sometimes is you use your hands and you're pushing all the gas out of your pizza. And for the pizza that we're making right now, I don't want that gas pushed out. I like seeing that gluten structure in the pizza. So what I do is a little olive oil on the fingertips and just start pushing it out a little bit. You can pick it up, you can stretch it out. You can see how it pulls. Okay? While you're doing that, if you see the dough is fighting you, take your cellophane, cover it back up, let it sit for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, come back, you're going to see it's going to react and behave completely different. Okay? What happens is the more you work your dough, the gluten starts to tighten up and then it becomes like a rubber band. The only way to have that rubber band go away is actually by letting the dough sit untouched for an extra 20 minutes and then go back and revisit. So if you really think about it, you get a reset button every 20 minutes. So if your dough is fighting you, just walk away for 20 minutes and come back. And I'm telling you, you'll be able to stretch it out easy, no problem. Okay? So we have this one here stretched out. It's ready to go, right? So what are you going to do? We're going to add our pizza sauce, right?
Yep. We made the sauce earlier, so ready to go.
Sauce is ready to go, right? We have our San Marzano tomatoes. Again, use anything that you like. It's one thing I've always told is there's no right or wrong to anything that you're doing in the kitchen. Just do what you like, okay? Use any sauce you like. But one thing I also kind of learned is when you're using your toppings, putting your sauce, don't go too heavy. If you're making a thinner pie, the more sauce that you use will weigh down your pizza and you'll start getting soggy, floppy pies, right, Stella? Let me help you out there real quick. Don't be afraid of it. Another thing I've learned, don't be afraid in the kitchen. Every now and then, you just got to be a boss. You just got to do it. Don't be afraid of it. It's only dough. Right? Turn it around. And this is also like a fun activity to do with the family. Stella and I, we do this a lot.
Or sometimes.
Or
'Cause
some-
he usually doesn't let me help.
I don't let you help. You did not say that out loud, did you? Okay, let me see that.
Maybe.
Good job, Stella. Okay? So I'm going to spread that out. Use the bottom of your big spoon. Now, the one thing about this pizza, grandma pies, Sicilians, they're pretty thick and they take time to cook. So with them needing time to cook, I actually don't cheese it now. Because your cheese, if you cheese it now, your cheese is just going to burn. So I just get my sauce on there. And just like that, it's sauced. I'm just going to hit it with one of my cheeses, Pecorino Romano. You want to make it snow on the other side still? What do we say? We're making it snow? Some say make it rain. In our household, we say we make it snow.
Does this cheese burn?
Well, it's not going to burn just because it's finely grated, and we're only using a little bit. So having that on right now is not going to hurt. I'm doing a pizza with sausage, not on your part of the pizza, so don't yell at me. So here I have some sausage, and I'm putting this on now just because it's going to need time to cook. The sausage is raw. If you're going to be doing like a thin style pizza, which I do every once in a while, I'll actually cook the sausage off first. But I know this is going to be in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. I know during that time the sausage is going to cook off. So I'm just going to get the sausage added.
We have a half for the parents and a half for the kids.
Well, I'm going to say it's going to be 3/4 for the parents. And I'm going to say, Stella, you're probably going to get 1/4 of this pizza. You're going to get 1/4.
What about me?
What about Nino? He eats one slice.
We ate 4 slices.
He'll eat 4 slices? Maybe he'll eat 4 slices. How's that look? Good enough? And I keep this side here with no sausage? Does that work?
And then we have a bake.
No, we're not adding anything right now. Right now, we're going to cook it. So I actually have my oven preset and set at 550. It's going to be whatever your oven, the highest temperature that it can go. Now, your oven has 2 racks in it. You have a lower rack and you have a top rack. Or let's rephrase that. You have 2 racks and they can be anywhere in any position in your stove. But when you're cooking your pizza, set it at one at the highest position, set one at the lowest position. There's a reason for that. You're going to start at the lowest position. One thing you're trying to do is you're going to try to cook that bottom underneath and try to develop that crispy crust that you want. Right, Nino? Why does he have a beer? People are seeing this, Aaron. I'm not dealing with social services. So I started off at the bottom rack, maybe for 7 to 8 minutes of my cooking time. At that point, I actually take it out and then I cheese it so that way my cheese doesn't get burned. And then I do roughly about 8 minutes on the top rack. If you think about when you usually roast something, you roast it on the top. So I want to try to get some color on the crust. I want to make sure that cheese starts to cook. And then from there, I kind of finish it off at the bottom again for the final 2 minutes. And then from there, I check to make sure the bottom is nice and crisp. So here's the pizza.
Yummy.
Pretty simple. We got the sauce. We got some sausage. We don't have any cheese on there yet.
Or basil.
Or basil. Well, we have basil in the sauce. That's about it, though. Okay? Okay, so that's going to be going on the bottom rack. And it's what, 6:30? So we're going to let that go to say 6:38. Okay? So we're going to let it go for roughly about 8 minutes. when I'm done in 8 minutes, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to cheese it. I'm just going to show you some of the cheeses that I use. I have some of the fresh mozzarella. In addition to that, you can bring that out, Stella.
This is the cheese grater we use.
I have low moisture mozzarella. And I have my good old Parmigiano Reggiano. You can use Grana Padano if you want. This is what I call a finishing cheese. So this actually goes on during the last minute. I do have a box grater. So I do my Maggio whole. I do use the grater for that. On the coarse side, do the finer side for the Parmigiano Reggiano. These, they usually come in like sliced already, and I usually break them up into pieces, okay?
Did you make a plate of?
And I did make a plate of it. You're very right, Stella, and I'm going to get that out of the fridge.
There's 2 plates.
So I do have a plate because we prepped everything. A lot of people sometimes prep as they go along, but we prepped everything beforehand. Okay, we were smart.
There's
So here I got the Parmesan Reggiano already grated.
and then mozzarella and
Okay, here I got the low moisture mozzarella grated, and here I got the fresh mozzarella broken up into little pieces. That's pretty much it. Those are the cheeses that I use, and you saw that I used some Pecorino Romano. So we actually use what? We're going to be having 4 cheeses on this pizza, right?
3.
Huh? 4, because we use the Parmesan. We're going to be using those 3, but we already used some Pecorino Romano, which we don't need anymore, so I'm just going to put that away. Okay, so we have the pizza in the oven, and we have our dough started. So obviously I made that dough yesterday just to try to make things easier. I was trying to think, how do I make a pizza from start to finish, knowing that the pizza dough is going to take some time. When we're done the pizza dough, there's 2 things you can do. You can spray one of these containers. You want to make sure you have something large because your dough is going to proof. It's going to expand. It's going to double in size.
It's gonna explode.
You don't want it to explode, but it's going to expand. So you want to make sure you have something that has the capacity to hold your dough as it doubles in size. I spray this down with the cooking spray, and then I package it up. And I use it the next day. If you package it up, this pizza dough will stay in the fridge for up to 72 hours. After 72 hours, it's going to maybe not be as great. So I kind of normally do a 48, 72-hour dough, let it slow proof in the fridge at a lower temperature instead of doing a fast fermentation, which is what would happen if I just let it ferment and proof on the counter, which you can do if you want to use that pizza dough tonight. So if you want to make a pizza dough tonight and you're following along right now, I'm going to say that dough will be ready. It's what? We'll be done that dough in 30 minutes. It'll be 7, 8, 9. I'm going to say probably by 9:30, that dough will be ready for you to use tonight if you want to make that pizza. I just prefer to do a slower fermentation I put in the fridge. So I usually make my dough 1 to 2 days ahead of time. Okay? So you saw the sauce. You saw the cheeses that we use. We do have it in the oven right now, right? And it's got, what, 4 more minutes roughly?
7.
Huh?
Oh, no,
That's the timer on the dough. So we still have 17 more minutes on the dough as it goes through its auto lights period. You don't know? You're not 100% sure? Anyway. But like I said, one thing that you kind of have in pizza making, you do have some downtime. But again, it's a lot of fun, and I'm kind of hoping you be patient as we go through this process. Also, I know you're all muted right now, but if you have questions about anything that I'm doing, I believe there is a dialogue box that you can submit remarks. And if you have any questions, the lovely Dominique, love her to death, she will read your questions out to me, and I'll do my best to answer. So if you have any questions on anything that I'm doing, the process, my favorite albums, her favorite albums. Do you like any album? Do you know what an album is? See, she doesn't even know what an album is.
like song.
I'll definitely answer those questions for you. We're trying to see if we can get Nino to stay with us in the kitchen, but it looks like to me it might be a losing battle. So I'm gonna double check this real quick.
Yay!
Do you want to get in your seat, bud?
The water bottle broke. Okay.
Here,
I'm
put
gonna
it
get
in the seat.
One thing you want to do is be careful when you open that. Your glasses will fog up. You're gonna put them back in the seat again?
Wait, what'd you open?
I was just checking real quick. Okay. We're just gonna get him buckled up here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, buddy. There you go. I thought you were gonna stay with us the whole time. He's a little camera shy.
Where's the spray?
Well, we're not gonna spray it just yet, but the spray is around here somewhere. You don't worry, we're gonna find that spray. Actually, I do see the spray. It's over there. It's on the far end. So I'm just gonna get this away. Okay, thank you.
Thank
We're gonna get this out of
Thank
the
you,
way.
dish cleaner.
Thank you. Yes, Erin, she's our dishwasher tonight. She's
So-
actually our dishwasher every night.
And our Danny.
So just to go through,
Actually, she can't cook, but I like to think that she can cook. But just like anything in life, you never really want to show everyone what you can truly do, because then they expect it from you all the time. Right? Didn't we learn that a long time
She
ago?
can cook mac and cheese.
She does make really good mac and cheese.
why
But for the most
why would one cook when they can be cooked for?
And
Exactly.
tacos. She makes really good
That is
tacos.
true. That is true.
Come
Well,
on.
here's the thing, and this is a true story. Aaron might say otherwise. So we've been together now, what, 18 years?
Way too long.
For her, we've been together way too long. I like to say it's just right. But it was kind of funny when we first started dating. I think she was 1 year graduated from college from LaSalle. And I remember I went to her home. She had some roommates. She was living in Manayunk at the time. And she was making herself something, and she put a chicken breast in the microwave.
That is a lie.
That is not a lie. You put a chicken breast, you put the raw chicken breast in the microwave. At that point in time, I knew that I was going to be cooking for this lady for the rest of my life.
You put it wrong.
Yeah, she put chicken in a microwave. And I was like, if my mom saw that, she would never approve the marriage. I'm telling you right now. Italian family, you got to know how to cook.
Just to go through a couple of the questions on the chat. Do you lower the oven temperature at any point?
I do not lower the oven temperature at any point. So I have it at the highest setting I can go. Some ovens might cap out at 500 degrees. That's fine. One of the reasons I have it at the highest temperature, I'm trying to set that crust. So the crust has gas in it produced by the yeast, and it has water. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that water to evaporate. But how that water evaporates, it's going to expand through the dough. It's going to expand that gas. And that's how you get those nice gluten structures that you see in the dough. So a hot oven is very important. If you don't use a hot oven, you're just not going to get a great product. And the same holds true as far as the pan that you're using. Now, I'm using a sheet pan. It's not hot. The dough is in there cold. That sheet pan is going to take some time to warm up. If I were to use the cast iron the same way. The only thing that's going to be really hot off the bat is if you're going to be using, say, a pizza steel, which I actually have as well, or if you're going to use a pizza stone. But still, you're still going to want a really hot oven, because that's really what's going to get you the best results. It's going to get rid of that water. It's going to puff up the crust. You're going to get rid of the water, and you're going to accomplish what you're possibly looking to accomplish, and that is to have a nice crust and not have what we like to call a floppy pie.
Move that chair. You know.
Any other questions?
Ms. DeSanto said that your Two-Hearted is a strong choice. Yes.
I was on the 9%ers this afternoon.
And
So
yes,
I kind of figure I go to a session IPA.
yes, it's being recorded, so we can send it out. Dominique can send it to you. Her email is in the chat bar, and we can send you the recording out. Why don't you get in the zone to make a low calzone?
Say that again?
Why don't you get in the zone to make a low calzone?
You lost me at low cal. Does it look like I do anything that's low cal? She said low calzone. Get the rocks out of your ears. You can't hear? Yes, she did. She said low calzone. Anyway, I'll tell you what. I've never made a calzone, but I'm sure I could. If you guys want to see a calzone, just let me know. But I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor, just before I forget. If you guys are really going to be making your own pizzas, do me a favor. We'll love it if you share them with me on social media. It could be Facebook, it could be Instagram. Follow me at The Saucy Realtor. Another great one where you can tag us is Philadelphia Indulgences, I believe. And also, don't forget DJ Quinn and Associates. Okay? Now, this pizza's already been in the oven for a little bit, so I'm going to take it out.
So Jim is joining you. He's on the Four Roses right now.
Four Roses, all right. That's good stuff. That's hot. Do not touch it.
I know.
Okay, I gotta get the steam. I gotta get the steam off my glasses.
And can we use a can of crushed tomatoes and add the extras to that?
Yes, absolutely. There's no one thing I kind of learned. There's really no rule as far as the toppings you want to use. The only thing I would just recommend is to go light and not go heavy, especially if you're doing a thinner pie. The more sauce, the more cheese you put on it, it creates weight. Sauce has moisture, cheese has moisture, and if you overload it with cheese and sauce, no matter how good you are as far as making pizzas, trust me, you will have a sloppy, wet mess. So we got the pizza out. It's been in there for roughly about 9 minutes. It's starting to puff up a little bit. So here's where I'm going to hit it with the cheese. So I got my low moisture mozz. Spread that around. Okay. And then I'm going to hit it with my low moisture. And when I'm done, I'll try to hold this up for the camera so you can see how I have it going. Pizza, Nino, right? We're making pizzas tonight, right? Hopefully the video is coming out okay. Hopefully I'm speaking clearly. I'm doing my best to keep my truck driver mouth tame.
You're doing great, Anthony. You're doing great.
Talking loud enough.
Am I talking loud?
Yeah.
No, I don't talk loud at all.
He always talks loud.
Shush. There we go. Put them around. Watch out. So here you can see. Hopefully this comes out okay. I have no idea. But I got the low moisture and I got the fresh mozzarella on there, okay? I am not done yet. Low moisture mozzarella, because it's low moisture, doesn't have a lot of water, it can burn. So what I kind of like to do is have a little bit of fun and just do a little design and put it on top of the low moisture coming down the lines. I'm going to do this part, but you're going to help me in another part, okay? Just because the pan is going to be really hot, I don't want you to get hurt.
Lily says the pizza looks great.
Thank you. Okay. I just do a little line like this. You want to do a line the other way? Go the other way. You want to play tic-tac-toe? Play tic-tac-toe. It's whatever floats your boat. There's no rules.
It's your pizza.
It's your pizza. You do it your way. Right? We're like Burger King here. Do it your way.
No.
No Burger King. There you go. I'm gonna do a line down here. I'm gonna do a line over here. I'm gonna hit up the corners. There we go. How's that looking still? Okay.
Kind of looks like a place.
There we go. From here, I go into the top rack. Okay? And I'm gonna say that top rack is gonna have, we did like what, roughly about 8-9 minutes. We're gonna do roughly about the same amount of time.
And then we have 5 minutes on this. So.
And that does about 4 minutes left. Okay, so that piece is gonna be done in 8, and this is gonna be ready to go, right? And once that piece is done, it's pretty much ready to go. What we're gonna do is when I finish it off with a little bit of fresh basil. I finish it off with some of the grated Parmesan that I have. And are you going to taste test it? Okay, you can taste test it. You'll be able to taste test it probably in about 15 minutes, okay? So this has been sitting. We're going to get this ready. Since this is in the oven, we can get this started, right? It's been sitting now for 27 minutes.
Well, not.
Okay, now one thing that we didn't do with our dough,
It's add
okay?
the salt.
We didn't have, good job. We didn't add salt, okay? So I'm gonna add the salt now. For this amount of dough, I'm at 550 grams, 3.5 cups. You're gonna give me 1 full tablespoon. In addition to that, you're gonna give me a half teaspoon. And you can just dump it right in there. Yep. Good job. Perfect. Dump it in. Now use the one that says a half. That's it. Okay, now we're done with this. Put our lid back on.
Should we start mixing it?
We're gonna start the dough again. So we're gonna put it at 1. To get that salt in there.
It's shaking.
It's gonna shake. Okay, bring it up to 2. Hopefully that's not too loud. Dominique, let me know if that's too loud. If that's too loud, I'll bring that mixer into the back room and let it run back there.
I can hear you fine.
It's fine? Okay,
Amy
great.
Grant asked, was that 1.5 tablespoons of salt?
I'm sorry?
Was that 1.5 tablespoons of salt?
It was 1 tablespoon of salt. Let me make sure my volume is turned up on my phone. That was 1 tablespoon of kosher salt and a 1 tablespoon and a half teaspoon.
All right, thank you.
Of kosher salt. So that's gonna have some time now. We're gonna let that go for roughly about 6 more minutes. And then we're actually gonna increase it 1 more speed. And from there, it's gonna get really loud. I might have Aaron bring the mixer into the back room and babysit in the back room for me. What do you think? Yeah, right? So we're gonna let that go for like 6 more minutes. And then we're gonna up the speed 1 more notch. And we're gonna let it go for maybe like another 7 or 8. And then I'm gonna double check the consistency and see if it's where I want it. And if it is, then I'm gonna show you the consistency of the dough and what you're really looking to accomplish. Because there is a way to check when your dough is done, okay? Right now, I'm gonna double check my pizza and make sure everything's looking good with it. I'll take it out of the oven even though it doesn't have, still has more time. Watch out.
Ooh, that cheese melted. The
And you
mother.
can see the cheese and everything starting to melt, but you know what? You can see all the moisture from the sauce and everything, okay?
I feel like water coming off.
That's the thing. You're gonna see water is the enemy of pizza. So if you have a high hydration pizza with the hydration level, this is a little bit high. You're gonna have moisture from the fresh mozzarella. You're gonna need a little bit of time to cook that off. If you don't give it enough time, then you will have a soggy floppy pie. And we don't like sloppy foggy. Soggy floppy pie. What did I say? Get out of here. Get out of my kitchen. Actually, this is not my kitchen. I'd like to take the opportunity here to thank my
That is your
in-laws.
kitchen. You are Gordon Ramsay.
I am Gordon Ramsay, but I don't curse.
He does not curse.
But if you challenge me in the kitchen, I'm going to make you look bad. But I would like to thank my in-laws, Dale and Mars, for allowing us to use their space during this time.
They're in Florida.
Mars, I'm kind of hoping I'm not dirtying up your kitchen too much. And just so you know, the left burner doesn't work. We need a new stove. If Grandma could be watching. If she's not watching, then her and I are going to have a problem later on. She told me she was going to watch. You think she's watching? You don't know. If you don't know, then who knows?
If you're high.
Let's get this out of the way. We still have a little bit more time before that piece is going to be coming out of the oven.
1 minute.
No, it actually has 3 more minutes, and then we're going to double check it.
What,
No, that's got another 11 minutes. 11 minutes. What? I don't know your question. What does what mean? I don't know what means. Only thing what I know is what are you going to do? You don't know? If you don't know, then who knows? That's what my dad used to tell me. If I ever used to go to my dad, I don't know. He goes, if you don't know, then who knows? Why are you laughing? It's like funny to you? It's like some kind of comedy show? What about it? Don Rickles? I'm here to make you laugh? You don't know who Don Rickles is? Younger generation. You know who Don Rickles is. Aaron, do you know who Don Rickles is? Aaron?
You call it the young generation. It's the olden days. You doesn't know.
As you can see, it gets very loud in this house.
I call both these the olden days.
We're old? You call me old?
You're older than all of us.
I am older than all of you, yes. Even though I am older and I'm older than you, I am still faster than your mom. I can still beat you in a race. If you guys want to see, there is the video on Facebook. I did beat my wife in a foot race.
I let him win.
You did not let me win. I got legs like a gazelle.
I know, right? No, he's like.
Okay, so we're going to be finishing up soon. Nino. So I know we have a little bit of downtime, but we're actually almost finished up. Before I take that piece out of the oven to give it a check, did anyone have any other questions about the process or anything? Anybody want to talk about Ozark?
No.
Anybody watch Tiger King? No. What do you guys think about Tiger King? Do you think Carol Baskin did it?
Carol Baskin.
I think Carol Baskin did it. She's great.
He absolutely did it.
Hold on, someone has a question. What was that?
I said she absolutely did it.
She did it, right?
No doubt in my mind.
You know, that was like that. Carol Baskin. You're not allowed to watch TV shows like that because they make you dumb. I think that might be the only series I watched where the first 4 episodes was just such a train wreck, and by the time you get to the last 2 episodes, you kind of just felt bad for everyone involved. Aaron and I were watching it, and I'm like, are people actually really like this?
It's almost like how we feel bad for Cowboys fans.
Someone said.
You said something about Cowboys.
Someone say something about Cowboys?
Yeah, so it's almost like how we feel bad for Cowboys fans.
That's true. I hope no one on there is a Cowboys fan. Hi, buddy.
But we're an Eagles fan. And Eagles don't like the Cowboys.
No.
Or Cowgirls.
Yo, and if everyone here is an Eagles fans, so something that we're working on, Stella does play the violin, and she's getting really good at it. She is learning the Eagles fight song. So we might have an Eagles fight song coming up for us. We have an Eagles fight song, Nino? Yeah? Okay, go back to your mother, because the pizza's about to come out of the oven. Okay, watch out.
So hot in here.
I know. Look at you sweating.
Okay, we're getting closer, but we're not there yet.
Yummy.
So from here, what I want to do is I'm actually going to hit it with the broiler. I'm gonna hit it with the broiler for 2 minutes. Reason I'm looking to hit it with the broiler, I like my pizza to have a little bit of char. So I usually maybe do like a minute or two. It kind of helps with get the cheese fully melted, helps crisp out the top, helps evaporate any moisture that can be on top. But if you're going to use the broiler setting, just double check it after 2 minutes. Well, it went off just because that's what I had time for. That's got roughly about 8 more minutes. So we're going to do roughly about 2 minutes in the broiler. After a minute, I'm just going to turn it around. So I just want to make sure that it broils evenly. You know what? It actually might be a better idea that I leave that over there because he's screaming a lot.
Yeah.
Might be a good idea. Just saying. You know, if anybody needs a just so you know, if anyone needs a haircut, I did give my wife a haircut. I have awesome clippers. If you need help cutting hair, just let me know. I'll definitely give your head a shave.
Ow! We're not allowed to give anyone a shave yet.
Okay, I just did the turn. We're gonna keep it in that broiler for 1 more minute, and then we're actually getting ready to finish it off.
We have a question.
This dough has roughly maybe like what, 4 more minutes, 5 more minutes.
We have a question.
What was that?
We have a question.
Okay.
Who makes the best pizza in Philly besides Anthony Scavuzzo? Or what's the best pizza you've ever eaten? Anywhere?
Great question. Best pizza, I'm gonna have multiple answers. Probably the best pizza I ever had experience-wise was actually in Rome. I was with my wife, my beautiful sister-in-law, Kristen. They're actually identical twins, and my brother-in-law, Bill. This was back in 2005 or 2006. We did Rome, we did Florence, and we did Venice. And just having that meal together with family was something I remember. And the pizza was great. Best pizza in the city? Oh wow. There's so many good places, and they're all different. Now, just for disclosure, there are some pizza places I haven't tried. I have not tried Pizza Gut Pizza. So I have not tried Circles and Squares, but his pizzas look fantastic. And I have not tried his new place, Pizza Plus, which is where the old Key Pizza is, right off Passion Avenue on Mifflin. But I hear they're fantastic. I have not tried Pizzeria Badia. And he's pretty popular, and his pizzas look fantastic. I actually have one of his pizza cookbook, Pizza Camp. I almost forgot about the pizza. But Pizza Camp does a very good pizza. Look at that. See what I'm talking about a little bit of char? Now we're going to finish it off on the bottom. Before I do that, I'm going to double check the bottom of my pie. I want to see how the crust is built compared to be hot. Yeah, this thing is puppy. It's just about done. So, you want to see it? See?
Brian
It's
asked
going to
if
be
you'll
kind of
come
hard for
and
me to show you, but it's nice and like a golden brown on the bottom.
Brian
From
asked
here
if you,
then, my
Brian
Tennessee cheese.
Brian asked if you'll come make pizza at their house for referrals.
Hold on, one more time. Give me 1 second. Hold on. That pizza's going to be hot. Do not burn yourself, please. You know what I like to do? Get it on the crust. Yeah. That's enough. We don't need a lot here. This is the finishing cheese. Right? I'm going to hit it with my basil. Here, break it up into small pieces.
Brian asked
Start
if you'll
lining
come
it
make.
up.
Brian asked if
Give me 1 second, Dominique, and then I'll be able to answer any questions. because I'm getting ready to turn this mixer off. It's kind of hard to hear you from the microphone of my phone when you're talking. But I'm actually just about done. How's it look, Steph?
Good.
Okay, we made snow. Now I'm going to make it snow with a little bit of olive oil. Making it rain, making it snow. Okay, you want to help me out this one part, Steph? Open the oven. I'm going back to the bottom rack. Pull all the way down. Let it go. And that dough is done. It's been roughly about 15 minutes. And that pizza is going to be coming out of the oven in 2 minutes. So I'm going to get this stuff here out of the way. I'm going to use my good old bench scraper here.
Oh, I did a show with flour like that.
Okay, going to get all this stuff off.
Remember I did a show with that?
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Dominique, were there other questions? I'm sorry.
Brian wants to know if you will come and make pizzas at their house for referrals.
Absolutely. You send me referrals, you get all the pizza you want. Okay. So here we have the dough. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to dump it out right now. It's going to be sticky, so I'm going to give you guys a little trick.
You get some flour on your fingertips.
Just throw a little bit of flour on the counter. And just go like this. And all that sticky dough come right off. Okay, the dough's done, but I'm going to show you what you're looking for. You're going to need to show them something, honey. Okay? And that pizza's coming out. So I'm going to take this pizza out of the oven because it's finished.
Where are you going to put it?
I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it over here.
Stella, Lily says hi to you.
Hi, Lily!
And there you have, I'm kind of hoping it comes out good. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, stay there. I'm going to take a picture.
Looks delicioso.
And that's how
Amazing.
you make a sheet pan pizza. It looks awesome. I can't wait to try it. We're just going to let this sit for a minute because you will taste test it. But we're going to let it sit. We should probably, hey, babe, can you do me a favor? Can you give me that cutting board? Yeah. Just drop it down right there.
And we're going to move the pizza to this cutting board. Oh, she can hug. I flour you.
Fine. Well done.
Okay.
Trey. Nina.
Ah!
Oh.
Okay, there you go, guys. What do you think, Stella? How's it look?
It looks delicioso.
Should we cut a piece?
I think it's so hot.
It's going to be hot as hell. We probably should let it sit for a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you look at the crust is all golden brown all around. I got a little char here with the cheese that we kind of hit on the sides. I got the beautiful colors. I got the Italian colors. Why do you think we go red, white, and green? I am going to put this over here, out of the way,
Nina, don't try and pull it over this time or else you'll kill yourself.
because that's going to be our dinner tonight.
Yummy.
And then this dough is going to be dinner Saturday night. Okay?
No.
Huh?
It's way too quick.
Wait, well, what am I supposed to do with the dough? I made another dough. We can't waste food right now, Steph.
I know, but I'm going to suffer from pizza again.
Okay, so let's talk about this dough real quick because we're pretty much finished up now. And if you guys have my contact information, feel free to text me, email me, reach out to me on social media. I'll answer any questions that you have about food. It doesn't have to be real estate with me. I'll talk food all day long with anybody.
Don't always talk food.
I will talk food because I love food. I grew up, both my parents, just my love of food. Both my parents bought right off the boat from Sicily. Came here, I'm going to say, what, 1965. right?
Anthony,
And
Amy said it looks great. Good job. And Alex Bonner said thank you.
Dude, you almost opened it.
you're welcome. And remember, as you make these, please send me pictures. I would love to see pictures of the pizzas that you guys make. Because I just love being in the kitchen. Okay, this is how we know when our dough's done. One, it's going to be really smooth.
Yeah.
But there's going to be something that we're looking for that's going to be key. Like smooth as what? My daughter just said it should be smooth as a baby's butt.
It should.
Okay. So we're pretty much done, but we need to double check two things here. We need to make sure that our dough is nice and strong and it's not going to rip. Look at that. That's what you're looking for. I can stretch it. It's not tearing.
It's like slime.
That is a dough. Now, the other thing is with dough is don't be afraid of it. I'm going to show you how to package it up, okay? If you don't have a bench scraper, it's okay. Maybe you just keep a little flour on the counter, okay? I slap it and fold. Right? Don't be afraid to slap.
Can I slap it?
Huh?
Can I slap it?
Now I'll do this part. I don't want you to get dirty, okay?
I already am dirty.
Well, go take a shower then.
I took a shower.
I'll go take another one.
I'm not mom.
Okay, so this
I have like 5
is
showers a day.
this is called slap and fold. Two things that we're looking to do. I want to introduce air to my dough. That's a strong dough. That's a dough that's not going to break on you. The other thing I'm looking to do is I'm trying just to work that yeast through all the parts of the
Is it
dough.
that strong that if you throw it down the emperor, if you drop it down the emperor state building, it will not break?
If I drop it, Stella's question was, if I drop this off the Empire State Building, will it break? I don't know if you can break it, this stuff. I'm just going to throw a little bit of flour on top, not much, just to make it a little bit easy to work with. And you just saw me just do slap and fold a handful of times. Now I'm going to stretch and fold. Okay, straight. This is how you prepare it before you package it up. Give it a pull, fold it. South, fold it. East, west.
If you can't remember these,
Hit the corners.
if you can't remember north, east, south, and west, think of this saying: never eat soggy waffles.
What'd she just say? How are you my daughter?
That's awesome.
Stella said, if anything, don't eat soggy waffles.
Anthony, Brian Gorman has to sign off since dinner is done. He said if you can send the recording, which I will do, Brian, and we'll give it a shot and he'll send us pictures.
Okay, great. Brian, thanks for attending. Bye,
Thanks
Brian.
for watching,
Bye,
Brian.
girls.
Bye.
Thanks for putting it together, guys.
Anytime, brother. And from there, we're done, right? Yep. So last one. Stella, can you spray that container for me?
How?
Yeah, just spray it all around on the inside. There we go. Get some of the sides. This dough is so sticky. I need a little bit more flour. That's it. That's enough. Okay, guys. So this is it. Packaging it up. Stretch and fold. Stretch and fold. What you want to do is get a bowl.
And we put the canola oil in it, cooking spray, so the dough doesn't stick to the.
There you go. And just like that, fold up that bottom. You got a nice smooth dough ball. Right in the container.
And
Spray the top so it doesn't dry out.
lid, refrigerator.
And in the refrigerator, it'll be ready if you want to use this tomorrow. I take it out of the refrigerator whenever I'm making my pizza. I take it out roughly about 2 hours before it goes in the oven. So this dough that I just made that pizza with, I took out like around 4 I let it sit on the sheet pan roughly for about like a half hour before I started working it. You want to let it come to temperature, let the gluten relax. You can start using your fingertips to spread it out. Remember, if it starts fighting you, cover it with the cellophane, walk away for 15, 20 minutes, come back, and it's going to act like a completely different animal. And that's really about it. I thank you for joining and attending. Dominique, thank you for suggesting that I do this. Hopefully I did okay. It's the first time I'm doing something like this. And
You did
you guys
great.
know
You're a
me.
natural- you're a natural
weighing
instructor.
this kind of stuff. I don't care for it. What was that?
You did great. You're a natural.
Thank you, dear. I think you're a natural as well.
Thanks.
Well, I am going to sign off unless anyone has any questions. Dominique, did anyone have any questions?
No. Does anyone need anything else? No? All right. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for doing this.
Thank you, and everyone be safe during this time. I hope to see some of those friendly faces soon. If you have any questions about this or anything, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. And we're going to sign off and go eat that pizza that we made. Take care, guys. Say bye.
All right.
Stella.
Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. How did I do, babe?